Good evening, everyone. We're back with another Phins Forecast show. We are excited to have the show tonight, even though we're not too pumped about our Dolphins right now. But you know what? We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the Titans game. We're going to talk about the Patriots game. We're going to talk about the first quarter of the season. And we have a few more things to talk about other than that, too. We have a lot to talk about tonight because
let's go.
This team is equal parts frustrating and still dripping with potential. So look, stay tuned, and we'll get going right after this. Good evening, everybody. Yes. Show number 8 for the Phins Forecast. We are back.
Let's go.
Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We do this show, and we are psyched about it. We're psyched about doing this show every Wednesday. We're still psyched about the Dolphins. Not a lot to be psyched about, but we are. You know what?
We're psyched about the Dolphins. But we're not excited about the prospect or the product that they're putting on the team.
Look, guys, we're all around the same age. We lived through the dark ages, the Cleo Lemon, Sage Rosenfeld's era. We lived through the Dave Wanstead era when they had a great defense but no offense, reminiscent to what we're looking at right now. And we're kind of used to this. We're kind of used to being somewhat let down by the Miami Dolphins. But we'll get into all that, like I said. I'm going to introduce my panelists tonight, my fellow co-hosts. Anthony, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing excellent, man. I'm wearing my 2023 playoff shirt because I feel like it may be the last time in a while I get to order one of these.
Yeah. You know what? Don't count your checks before they're hatched. This season is not over yet. The season is still young, right? Josh, how you doing tonight, man?
You know what, fellas? You know I love getting on here and talking Dolphins football with you guys. I'm stoked. I'm psyched, and let's get this going.
Absolutely. Steve, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, brother. I'm doing really good. Me and the wife just had excellent dinner. I'm kind of stuffed and a little lethargic right now, to be honest. But I feel
we'll wake you up,
good.
bro.
Yeah. Come on, Steve.
A little bit. I'm trying to put some weight on, to be honest. It's been hard my whole life, so that's where I'm at.
You know what? I have the opposite problem, so I don't know. Screw you, man.
I got a few extra pounds I can lend you.
Yeah, you want some? I got some for you.
Yeah, right. I do think though that we are in store for one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history. I think we do have the pieces, and I think I'm pretty optimistic about our season so far.
Coming back.
All right. I mean, to Steve's point, I don't know if there's a lot to be optimistic about right now, but I like the optimism. I like the fact that people are still optimistic about the Dolphins. Omar Kelly came out with a tweet today basically saying that, we have a top 10 defense, which we do. The defense is the least of our issues, and saying we still have good skill position players, some of which are hurt. Some, this is still a team that can do some things this season. I think we need to keep that in perspective as we talk about this Titans game. So let's get into this Titans game, guys. Initial thoughts. Josh, I'll start with you, man. What are your initial thoughts?
Oh, Mike McDaniel. What are you doing, brother? Holy Christ. We're on our fourth quarterback in 4 games, right? Tyler Huntley's been here at that time. Right at the time of the game for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Why are we still calling the same offense as if Tua was back there? Like, what are you doing? Right? You have to simplify this offense. Mike McDaniel has to simplify this offense. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this to be successful. And he needs to stop with all of the shifting and all of the motions and all of the fancy, gadgety stuff that he does that was successful last year with a very good quarterback behind center. And understand that you have, albeit a very solid professional in Tyler Huntley, but he does not have the rapport with his wide receivers or his running backs. The offensive line does not understand how he moves behind them on 3 and 5 step drops. You have to just let your players play. Put the ball in your players' hands that you pay millions and millions of dollars towards in Waddle and in Hill, and let them play. Jesus, why is it so complicated?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. See, Josh, I actually think he did simplify the offense, and maybe he needs to simplify it more. But I do think he simplified it for Tyler Huntley. I mean, I feel like half the playbook was just cut off and thrown out in this game. Maybe he needs to simplify it more. Maybe there needs to be less motions. I would agree with you there. But I mean, we do acknowledge that he simplified the playbook for him. Right?
Yeah, of course. But my problem is where Tyler Huntley is successful and where he was a Pro Bowler was not on bubble shot or bubble routes and passes two yards behind the line of scrimmage. It was medium in breaking, and it was long balls. Now he missed Hill two touchdowns, one behind him, one in front of him. That's to be expected. Like, again, he's only been here for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
But you factor in him, the time that he's been with the team, and you look at all of the motions, and I was hoping I would find a spot to throw this in here, fellas. Joe Shad pulled all of these stats together, right? In 4 weeks, in the first 4 weeks of the season, pre-snap, I'm only talking about pre-snap penalties. 7 false starts, 6 illegal formations, 5 illegal shifts, and 1 illegal motion. That is simply unacceptable. And when you have a quarterback behind center that's only been here for what equates to a couple practices, stop with the motions, stop with the fancy crap, put your wide receivers on the line of scrimmage, and let the speed be speed. I mean, it's that simple in my opinion.
I think I would tend to agree with you there, Josh. I think, and we've talked about the pre-snap penalties a lot, and they are unacceptable. We can't have them, especially with 2 out. We can't recover if we're behind the sticks to start the drive. A 1st and 15 doesn't look the same with Tyler Huntley as it did with Tua.
Right.
So I agree. Steve, what are your thoughts on the game, man? Give me take me through it.
As I was watching the game, I was thinking about you. I was saying to myself, maybe he was right about Skylar Thompson, because every quarterback has performed the same. Not one quarterback has shown that they played this offense any different, because it's coached by a ringmaster. You can't go against what the play call is. If it's one call, you're running that play. So whether it's Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, Huntley, these quarterbacks aren't being set up for any type of success. So overall, maybe Skylar Thompson is still the right choice. Maybe overall he still does have the best arm. Maybe overall he still does have, the most knowledge of the offense and the most knowledge and repertoire of his players. Maybe we should be playing him. And as I was thinking about the game, I was kind of in my feelings a little bit, obviously, because I'm like, dude, we should be winning this game. And then I'm realizing that this is a Tua-based system. Like, it's not a system based on anything else other than just Tua. So I know we've touched on it multiple times, but like, there was no more evidence than last week. Obviously I did say I didn't want Huntley to play yet, especially if Tua's not going to be coming back. Let Huntley learn a little bit. Let him. We clearly see he had like hardly any time with these starting receivers. So it's hard, and with him playing is kind of telling me that Tua is going to come back. They were trying to rush a win or two before Tua comes back. I don't think they were. I think they were trying to wait for a quick shot, but possibly Skylar. I think that maybe we're thinking too hard about the quarterback position and not enough about our offensive line position. I mean, we're doing great on defense because our line's winning. The Lions are doing great because their offensive line is killing it. Like, all these teams that are killing it have great offensive lines. We have arguably the worst offensive line, so no quarterback is going to flourish. Look at Tua. He can't do anything either. He had a terrible first week, and now he's hurt. Like Skylar Thompson, hurt. Tim Boyle, he probably would have got hurt with how many times that Huntley had to move around the pocket. Tim Boyle ain't moving like that. So it's hard. We really need to make that offensive line a little bit better.
Yeah,
a little bit,
and
just a little bit better.
We're focusing on the
know-
wrong position.
It's crazy. We were, last off season, I remember Chris Greer, and I'm actually going to talk about this later on in the show. But last off season, Chris Greer said, "I think the fans are more worried about the offensive line than we are, we as in the front office." And that was when we had Robert Hunt and Connor Williams in the fold. Now we're down to Robert Hunt, down to Connor Williams, down to Isaiah Wynn, who hasn't played yet this year, and I still haven't heard any word on when he's coming back. I don't know that he is.
Keith, we're down to Ron Armstead too.
And we're down to Ron Armstead as well. And
although Patrick Paul looked very, very good as a
rookie. He held his own out there. So credit where credit's due. He held his own, and he's next to Robert Jones, who's just an atrocity out there.
Sorry.
You're absolutely right. Call him like you see him, Josh. Offensive line needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, that's not something you address midseason. It just isn't.
No.
And most teams aren't willing to even trade you an offensive lineman midseason. So this is an off-season problem. Anthony, your initial thoughts on the Titans game?
Oh God, I have so many thoughts on this game. So many thoughts on this game. So many thoughts on what you guys just said. I don't have enough time to go through it all. So quick hitters, the Chris Greer comment about we are worried more about the offensive line. That's great when your quarterback's healthy, but your quarterback's not healthy anymore. So nice contingency planning there. Mike McDaniel, what are you doing? What are you doing? You look like awful. We've faced two rookie head coaches in a row. Yeah, two rookie head coaches in a row, and they made you look like the rookie. You look awful. Your hair looks awful. Change it. Your glasses look awful. Change it. You just look awful. It's all around bad. I am not a proponent of. You
don't like the drug kingpin look that he's got going on right now?
No. Yeah. And very Pablo Escobar.
I'm not a guy who's like fire right away. But geez, man, if you do not change something, you better get fired, because I can't watch another full season of this stupid offense with the unnecessary motion. The one drive where we didn't do that, we scored a touchdown, man. Why didn't that open your eyes to the freaking fact that you don't need to motion every player on the offense? Defense ain't falling for it. They're just playing zone and standing still. So what are you doing? Oh my God. All right. You got me started. That's it. We'll get into the details. I'll tell you more.
I love the fire, Anthony. I love it, man. I love the fire. I get where you're coming from, especially on that touchdown drive when, they looked like they had a competent, functional offense out there. And then where was that before? Where was that after?
They ran it north and south. They threw it north and south. There was no side to side. There was no motion. Like, it was just football. Like,
and
give it to Jalen Wright.
They threw a 12-yard ball right down the middle of Jalen Waddle. And I thought, okay, maybe we're going to see more of this. And then bubble screen, run to the outside.
Ugh. Drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely up the wall.
And
this is what happens when you have a head coach that's insanely stubborn, in my opinion. I don't know him personally, but I personally believe he believes in the game plan and the scheme that he draws up, which is why we don't see him deviating from it, because he thinks anyone can sit in this system and I will make anyone successful. Well, the fact of the matter is you're not doing that. You're not doing that at all, and you're failing miserably. We have a Super Bowl caliber roster outside of our fourth string quarterback starting. And we look like a JV high school football team on offense. And it is embarrassing. And the fact that it hasn't sunk in, it hasn't hit him yet after 3 games of this nonsense is troubling, and I think there can be a conversation. Now, I'm a Mike McDaniel guy. All of you guys know this.
Yeah.
But there might be a conversation down the road if things don't change, that even though we signed him to an extension, his salary does not count towards the cap. So we can cut him whenever the hell we want to.
And And it almost felt like that one scoring drive was like a different person doing the play calling. I mean,
Mhm.
and it showed some of the genius that we've seen from him. 4th and 11, he somehow gets Waddle wide open for 18 yards on just a basic like crossing pattern. It wasn't anything special, but
Mhm.
like that's what we're used to seeing. Like just drawing up plays where you get a guy wide open on a broken play like that. But we haven't seen that this year. Not in the Jaguars game when Tua was playing. Hell, somebody said on Twitter or Reddit, or maybe it was one of you guys in Discord. I don't know. My brain is scrambled. But somebody said that this goes all the way back to the Dallas game last year that this has been happening. And then I was like, dang it, now I got to go back and look at that. And sure enough, like it goes all the way back to then. This is not new. This is now 10 or 11 games running of this offense looking like absolute trash. You know, we lost the division last year. We forget about that very easily because the new season started. We lost the division to the same team, the Will Levis-led Tennessee Titans.
Yep,
It
absolutely.
makes no sense.
I mean, and you want to know what's crazy that supports everything you just said, Anthony, and really everything we're all saying is the fact that in the last 2 games, this Miami Dolphins offense that was spectacular, that was all of the rage last year, that was, you know, number 1 in every major statistical category, and obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit on that, but we are 2 for 22 on third downs in the last 2 games. 2 for 22. Change something, dude. Change it.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly this. It's not even just fans and players are saying that it doesn't work. The statistics are saying that it doesn't work. You can't argue
everybody's seen the other 2 stats. We haven't held the lead this year.
That's
Huge. The last 4 teams to do that finished with a maximum of 2 wins. And then it was 10 quarters between quarters that we scored a touchdown. This touchdown here was 10 quarters in between. That's 2.5 games.
Yep. I mean, put that into perspective. We had, I think, game 2 of last year, it was like 48 points. Game 3 was 70 points against the Broncos. Game 4 was 52. Game 5 was 38. And I think we've scored 42 points all year or something like that.
I mean, it's just like quarterbacks, right? When you get a young quarterback in there who's thriving in his rookie season, then all of a sudden in his second season, he's awful. You know why? Because defense has caught up with him. It took a year and a half, not just a year, but defenses have caught up to you, Mike McDaniel. What are you going to do? Like, you got to change or you go, right? There's nothing else to say about it. Like, you either change and you adapt and you see what they're doing to you, do some self-study. What are you doing too much of? And fix things. Or who cares about the extension? Stephen Ross is a billionaire. He can afford to pay you a couple $1 million for the next few years to can you. So like there's no cap, like you mentioned, there's no cap penalties for a coach. So owners, all these owners in the NFL have more money than God. They don't care. You know? I mean, David Tepper in Carolina doesn't care that he's paying 4 coaches because he just doesn't like it's pennies to him. And I bet you Stephen Ross won't care either. It won't hurt his pocketbook a single iota.
Gosh, they had 40. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they had 45 points scored altogether so far this season and 103 points scored against them. But I would put that 103 points on the offense because they haven't given the defense any help.
Yeah,
no,
not any.
I mean, when you're consistently going 3 and out, to your point, Steve, your defense is going to be tired, which is why we see the run defense so good throughout the game and the pass defense so good throughout the game until the 4th quarter, because our defense is playing 48 out of 53 total series. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like the Jets from last year. You know, great defense, offense that just can't get out of its own way. Sometimes led by none other than Tim Boyle. And you know, he played against us in the Black Friday game last year. He's the one who threw that pick 6 to Javon Holland, right at the end of the Hail Mary pick 6. You know, inept offense, great defense, and the defense will bend and break eventually. You can't expect your defense to prop up your entire team for an entire game. That's just not.
Yeah, I mean, Steve nailed it. Yep.
Yeah.
Every team is NFL talent, right? Like, I mean, Josh Allen and the Bills, okay, they have a superstar, Josh Allen, right? He's going to score points. But every team is an NFL talent. It doesn't matter if they're in the bottom of the league or not.
Nope, it doesn't. And you know what? The Titans, they may have had Mason Rudolph and Will Levis out there at quarterback, but they have a good duo of running backs in Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley running routes for them. They aren't completely bereft of talent.
We couldn't stop the run. Their coach is a genius because all he had to do is say, "Well, we're getting 6 yards a clip. Why would we not run it?" Right?
Yep.
The defense was so tired.
Yep.
And there's not enough rotational people on the roster and any team's roster to put up with how long they were on the field. It's insane. I mean, it was as easy as them just being like, okay, Pollard here's 2 carries, Spears here's 2 carries, Pollard here's 2. Like it just kept a fresh rotation, and it was nuts.
Took the ball out of Mason Rudolph's hands and just ran it down our throats.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't on our defense. Defense can only do so much. So
defense played great. It was probably their best game all season.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, we're going to get into a little part of this show that I like to call Game Balls and Jock Straps.
Hey-yo.
Let's go. The best segment in media, sports
we
media.
definitely need a drop for this. Steve called me the other day. He's like, we need to create a drop for Game Balls and Jock Straps. We're going to do it, man.
Yeah, we will. Game Balls and Jock Strap. So I am going to start with you, Steve. Who gets your game ball for this game against the Titans?
Oh, my game ball, that was easy. There's not a whole lot to be happy about, but Agba sure was all over the field.
Let's go.
He had 3 assisted tackles, 3 solo tackles, 1 for a loss, pass deflection, quarterback hit, and then he had that sweet interception in between his thighs. Wasn't letting that baby go for nothing.
I could have sworn that thing hit the ground too. But
I did too. I thought the same thing. And he made me think that game was a very winnable game as he was, getting that interception. I saw Mason Rudolph coming in. We had the ball coming back, but then they had not consecutively, but they happened to have 7 scoring drives on us, 5 field goals. 3 of them were 50+ yards, but they can't do everything on that defensive line.
Nick Folk made kicking 50+ yard field goals look easier than me getting off the couch to grab a Coke. All right, he was just on it.
Yeah,
I know.
Can he get my game ball? No, I'm kidding. I just
it didn't even look like he was trying. He was just like, "Yep, ding."
Yeah, it was actually insane how easy he was making that look. And I know he's kicking in Miami, and
isn't
and
he
warm
like
weather and all that.
57?
Yeah,
at least,
dude, he was just nailing those kicks right down the middle. It was
insane.
It's pretty cool to see. So all right, so Josh, give me your game ball, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, very similar to Steve, this stays on the defensive side, right? I think this player stood out, both on special teams with almost a fully extended blocked punt at the ripe age of, 37 or whatever he is. And just multiple stops in the run game, behind the line of scrimmage, tackles for losses. And so my game ball goes to Mr. Campbell himself.
Nice. I love it. And Campbell, Agba, both guys on the defensive line had really great games for us.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Campbell's playing so well this season for us that I'm not even exaggerating. I think he might be 30. Do you guys know how old he is?
He's 37. Yeah.
37, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with a multi-year deal for him. Just lock him up for the rest of his career. I mean, that's how good he is playing. I mean, I'm not
I hear you.
Trying to live in the moment or anything
give a
like that.
37-year-old a multi-year deal, though.
Only got to be 2. Give him a 2. Give him a 3-year deal that's optional retire. Blah blah blah. Legalese.
He might be amenable to it because, as we all know, he went to the U for college, so he's from the area, I believe.
He's been hopping around too the last few years. I'm sure he wants to stay put.
Yeah. Anthony, give me your MVP, man.
My game ball, you mean? You're skipping ahead.
Your game ball. I'm sorry. Your game ball.
My game ball, I actually called during the game. We, of course, all chat while these games are happening, and I said, that man right there is my game ball. Nobody else take him. That's Jordan Brooks, man. He is a beast. Watching him play, my gosh. Reminiscent of Zach Thomas is just way faster.
Seriously.
He is left to right, all over the field, constantly. He had 13 tackles in this game. 13, it's crazy. Oh my gosh, 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss, a pass deflection, even hit the quarterback. I mean, this dude was on fire. Absolute beast. I mean, we've been saying it kind of on the podcast, just kind of mentioning him like on the side. Like, Brooks has looked pretty good too, as we give like David Long credit. But David Long was out today or out Monday, and Jordan Brooks was just you didn't need another middle linebacker.
No, what a breath of fresh air from Baker for the last Jerome Baker for the last couple of years.
The exact opposite of Jerome Baker. Yeah, I mean,
to use the parlance of our times, Baker was very mid. That's what the kids are saying nowadays, right? He's very mid linebacker.
They're so hip.
I do got to say,
right?
honorable mention to David Long's replacement, Anthony Walker Jr. This dude comes in for the first time this season. He looked great.
Yeah.
I didn't miss David Long a bit. I thought the middle linebackers probably had their best game of the year. So really shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
Middle linebackers were on point in this one.
So my MVP,
nope, game ball.
Gonna raise some eyebrows. My game ball.
Game ball. Come on.
Gonna raise some eyebrows. I'm sorry. My game ball is going to raise a few eyebrows. It's going to be on the opposite side of the ball.
Oh, shoot.
I'm giving my game ball to Tyler Huntley, guys.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
I'm giving my game ball to Tyler Huntley. Now look, he didn't have a good game. Let's be real about it. He did not have a good game, but you know what? He is from Florida. He grew up cheering for the Miami Dolphins. He came to the Miami Dolphins 2 weeks ago from the Ravens practice squad, had to learn a new playbook, had to try to develop a rapport with the new receivers, the new running backs, the new coaches. He was thrown into the deep end of the pool on this one, guys. And I think we need to appreciate the fact that he went out there and tried to ball out for us. Had a couple of nice scrambles, a 19-yard scramble at one point. He can only get better from here. So I like that Mike McDaniel is sticking with him another week. I like that he's here. And I like Skylar Thompson, Steve, like we were talking about earlier. I like Skylar Thompson. I think Skylar Thompson is better than he showed himself to be. But I think Tyler Huntley's the guy that we want behind center. So he gets my game ball because it only gets better from here, guys. It can't get much worse, but it only gets better from here.
That's a fair statement.
If he's schemed into a better position, he'll be, how do I say this? It's Mike McDaniel. It's all Mike McDaniel to scheme him into success here. And I think Mike McDaniel can do it. And I think Tyler Huntley's capable of having success with the Miami Dolphins within the confines of this offense. So he gets my game ball. I know it's controversial. And I say that, and then I'm going to go to Anthony to give me his jock strap because I already knew who it was going to be.
Right away. I love it. Hey, Steve, let's sit back and enjoy this stuff.
Anthony, did. Give me your jock strap, man.
My jock strap is the one and only Tyler Huntley, baby. We are not running a PBS special here. You said it yourself. He was awful. He was so bad. He had less yards per attempt than Skylar frickin' Thompson, who we were just making fun of last week. Absolutely. Yeah. This dude threw the ball 22 times, and he didn't even reach 100 yards passing. How is that possible? He missed wide open Tyreek Hill twice. He missed a wide open Jalen Waddle to the point where Waddle looked like he was going to have a fit, and that never happens. That dude is the most composed player in the NFL, and he even was fed up. I mean, the quarterback draws are not on him, but don't run right into your freaking offensive line, dude. Like, make a play. Even so, he was our leading rusher with 40 yards on the ground. That's absolutely pathetic. Listen. I get everything that you just said. I give this dude a ton of credit. A week and a half to learn a playbook. This complicated one, too, is not easy. Coming in with guys you don't know is not easy. But what you should be able to do as a fifth-year quarterback in the National Football League, the highest level of competition in this sport, is complete a freaking pass to a wide open receiver. Okay? That ain't hard. That ain't hard. We could probably do it. Maybe. Probably not. But he has been in the league for 5 years. Okay? What's another thing a fifth-year pro should know? Anybody? Any guesses?
I don't know how to read a basic offense or
That
a
the
basic
guy in
defense.
motion needs to be on the line of scrimmage for a second before you call hike. You should know that. If we know that, you should know that. Absolutely an awful performance by Tyler Huntley. As gutsy as it was, as much credit as I give him, I don't know that Skylar Thompson would have been better. It wouldn't matter. It's a moot point because he couldn't even play. He was the third quarterback. Boyle was in there, and Boyle doesn't know the offense either because he's also brand new. So listen, his legs are why he started. His legs are why he's going to start again. We need to do better with the calls. The quarterback draws were all too predictable and didn't make any sense. You're better off just letting him drop back and then scramble than you are calling these quarterback draws with an offensive line who can't block worth a lick. Just all in all, I was not impressed. I do not want to see wide open receivers missed, man. We were I know it's impossible to get a quarterback when you lose your starter. No team in their right mind. Like, no team is trading you a starting offensive lineman. No team is trading you a starting quarterback. That's the reason that teams pay up for backup quarterbacks and things of that nature. And I'll have another point on that, but this isn't the time for that. I wasn't impressed with Huntley. I am happy he's getting another start. But if we're talking jock strap for this game based on his performance in this game, it was not good. So, Tyler Huntley, congratulations, sir. I will send you this smelly, stinky jock strap.
Anthony, I'm not gonna, even though he was my game ball pick, I'm not going to give you any pushback on that because you're not wrong. You're not wrong in anything that you said, but I just.
Yep, that you know what? That describes the Dolphins season perfectly. I'm just
give the man a little rope. Give the man a little rope is all I'm saying.
There's no rope. I'm feeling fiery tonight. I got no rope for anybody.
Yeah,
you're all going down.
You have fire on your belly tonight, Anthony. All right. So I'm going to give my jock strap now. I was gonna go first on the jock straps, but I had to, it just
listen.
That's a great show decision
right there. That was that was a quarterback decision right there.
Yeah.
So my jock strap is Chris Greer. So look, we know.
I'm sorry, Keith. Say that one more time. Say it very clear for the people in the back.
Louder, yeah.
For the people in the back.
My jock strap is Chris Greer.
Let's go.
Woo!
Chris Greer gets my jock strap this week. This feels like low-hanging fruit. He wasn't actually playing in the game, obviously, but he was the architect of this team. He was the architect of a team that, to Steve's point, is built to win with one person and one person only on the center, and that's a problem. That's a problem because, for one thing, he's injury prone, and I know you can't account for injuries. You can't. Going into a season, you can't just say, okay, well, this guy's obviously going to get injured. You can do that with Teron Armstead, but you can't really do that with Tua. But the fact of the matter is that you should put a roster on the field that can at least win a football game or two should your quarterback go down. I look at the 2017 Eagles. All right. 2017 Eagles lost Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was in the middle of an MVP caliber season. He went down with the torn ACL against the Los Angeles Rams in about week 12 or week 13, and in steps Nick Foles. Eagles fans, and I live in Philly. I listen to sports talk radio, Philadelphia sports talk radio, almost exclusively. Eagles fans were ready to throw themselves off the Comcast building. They were ready to throw themselves off the Walt Whitman Bridge. Their season was done because Nick Foles sucks and he's no good. The thing is that roster was constructed in such a way that Nick Foles was able to succeed. They had a really good offensive line. They had decent skill position players. They had a good defense in place. They had a structure in place for a backup quarterback to succeed. Chris Greer hasn't done this for the Miami Dolphins. And that's my issue with Chris Greer. Don't tell me the fans are more concerned about the offensive line than we are. Don't condescend to me. Don't patronize me. I have eyes. I know what the offensive line looks like. I know the offensive line is hot garbage. And you need to at least acknowledge that I'm not an idiot here, that I'm not crazy for thinking that the offensive line probably isn't up to snuff. And another reason why Tyler Huntley got my game ball this week was because he was thrown into an impossible situation behind a leaky offensive line, learning a new playbook. I don't know that prime Peyton Manning or Tom Brady succeeds this week.
Well, I disagree on that.
This week. This week,
I would happily take Peyton Manning, not even in his prime. Give me him now off the broadcast booth, right? But I will push back on one thing, if I may, on just a single thing. And I know, Keith, you and I have had a bunch of side conversations about Chris Greer, and I've always taken the other side of the coin, right? Where coaches dictate to Chris Greer what kind of players they need to run their offense. Chris Greer is just buying off the shopping list, right? But I'm not taking that approach here because you know what? I do agree with you, right? Except for one piece where you can't go into the season something, and I'm paraphrasing what you just said. You can't go into the season thinking that anyone outside of Teron Armstead, mainly Tua was, I think, your point, is going to get injured. I think with Tua's history, you have to go into the season assuming he's going to get injured. Okay. And so you pay heavy. I don't care if you just gave him a $253 million contract. You spend upwards of $10 million for a 1-year backup if you have to, because the assumption has to be you are running a business. This is not, this is a sports franchise, right? This isn't Sunday League fantasy football. This isn't flag football in college. This is a NFL franchise. It is unethical to go into a season as a general manager of a franchise, of this franchise particularly, assuming that Tua is going to just be healthy again. What gives you the idea that that's really going to happen again? Yeah. He wasn't healthy in college. He wasn't healthy his first year. He wasn't healthy his second year. We got lucky in his third year, or switch those numbers, whatever it was. But you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and I agree generally that coaches cannot worry about injuries, but it's the one person who should is the GM, right? That's like, but to that point too, Keith. I don't know if you guys heard the conversation about Joe Flacco the other day, where Joe Flacco says, nobody reached out to me. Nobody. Yeah. Not even the Browns after he pretty much turned their season around last year.
Yeah, brought them to the playoffs.
Are you telling me you didn't think Joe Flacco was better than Skylar Thompson? That makes me seriously question your ability to build a roster. Seriously.
And Steve all summer was saying to me, we should get Tannehill in the fold. We should get Tannehill in the fold. Yeah. And all summer, Steve was saying that to me. And he's not a scheme fit. And, well, you know what? He's better than Skylar Thompson.
Well, look at what Flacco won the game for Indy. He's going to win more games for them if Anthony Richardson can't play.
If we would have had an option to get Flacco and we didn't, which I don't know if we actually had an option to get him, I would be really upset just learning that. Yeah,
according to him in an interview, post-game interview, nobody called him. The Colts were the only team that called him.
I still think Flacco is a starting quarterback, possibly top 15 if he gets a full season.
Could you imagine Flacco the way he played last season? And he's with Indy, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, you just
imagine him with this team. Waddle, Hill, Achane, Wright.
Like
we're potentially
Michael Pittman. Yeah, Michael Pittman was looking like a trash player this year with Richardson behind the helm. And Flacco comes in and Michael Richardson has 125 yards, or Michael Pittman has 125 yards and a touchdown. And he just knows how to get the ball to his players. And like, you didn't even need to spend $10 million. Flacco's contract is $4.5.
Yeah. Well, fantasy players rejoice if Flacco's in there for the long term because Michael Pittman's gonna eat.
He's on my fantasy team. So yes.
is he?
That's literally
I
the
am
only reason I
rejoicing.
knew its stats. Yeah, I'm not a big Colts fan over here. It's just Pittman's
enough.
on my fantasy team.
All right. Well, enough about Chris Greer. Let's get into the other jock straps. Steve, give me a jock strap, man.
So
Yes,
I'm not able to
it.
do a whole lot of research on this player because there's not a whole lot of research to do this year. But my jock strap is going straight to Tua.
I love this.
He
I love this, Steve.
has done nothing on the sideline to help any quarterback. He's done nothing on the sideline to help any of his receivers. You know what I've seen him doing? Sitting on the bench all by himself or standing there with his arms crossed, smiling. We're losing by 20 points.
Ooh,
And
good catch. Good catch, Steve.
yeah, we are losing by 20 points, and you're smiling, thinking it's okay. We got Tyreek Hill freaking out. We got, and it took time for him to start freaking out, but he's playing the game. You're watching the game. How are you happy? How are you smiling? How are you sitting there just chilling?
No fire.
If you,
No fire.
if you are a leader, Tom Brady has broke more iPads than Tua has touched this year. I'm telling you right now.
What a stat!
I don't
Yeah,
have
what a
the
pull.
numbers. I don't have the numbers, but I can pull up about 17 different videos where Tom Brady's taken one and given it the 12-6. I haven't seen Tua look at anything.
Giving it the people's elbow.
Somebody
Yeah,
mark this timestamp for the Steve-isms episode at the end of the year.
Literally, he's done nothing to help this football team win, and it looks like he wants to play. It looks like if he was to play, we would have opportunities to win. But I don't know if the ambition's even there. You know, he looks lackluster in all aspects of the season. And
Yeah, it's
he's
crazy
not
to
even
me.
playing.
Like, why aren't you galvanizing your team? Why aren't you pulling on the sideline, getting Huntley and the wide receivers in front of you on the bench and being like, guys, you need to get your head out of your rear end. You need to
through the plays. They obviously don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
tell these
wild.
guys where they're messing up. Tell these guys where they need to be lining up and where these soft spots end up being, because everything is anticipation. These receivers don't know where the anticipation spots are. You know,
Yeah.
Tua is throwing picks because the spot where he thinks and the spot where the receiver thinks, they're not cohesive. Nobody's on the same page, and it's because Tua is not working with these people at every opportunity. He might be doing it behind doors, but how many hours is that? You have multiple hours with these guys still on game day. He could be doing it before the game, but in-game action is the same thing as having a quarterman in a boxing fight. You still need to be told what to do during the action. You get foggy, you get tunnel vision on what you're doing with the guy in front of you if you're a lineman, what you're doing with the guy in front of you if you're a receiver, what you're doing with the whole secondary if you're the quarterback. You know, you got to start remembering other aspects of the game, and Tua's just not helping.
And I know it might be a little cliche and a little, I don't know, maybe I'm sensitive to this a little bit, overly sensitive to this, but like from an optics standpoint, put a headset on, grab a play sheet, at least pretend. If you're
he
not,
does put the earbud in. He does put the earbud in, but it's not on the whole
is
time.
Is it Jay-Z though? Is it Jay-Z?
No. You can tell it's the plays because he has to turn it on and all the other crap. But yeah.
You know what I mean, though? Like just from a sheer optics. Look, if you don't want to if you're not that kind of leader and you're more of a behind the cool, whatever. Like you can lead in various ways. But from an optics standpoint, your team is under a very fine microscope with how bad this team is right now offensively. Throw your arms up. You know what I mean? Do something.
That's kind of the problem right now is we don't have a leader that does that. Mike McD ain't doing that, so Tua ain't doing it. Like
Tyreek's trying to be that guy, I believe.
He was just in Mike's ear though.
And he's helping me out here because I hate these closed door arguments. All these back room talks that we keep hearing about. I don't want to hear about that. I want to see it. I want to hear it for myself. The media can tell me anything they want, and 90% of the time, I'm not going to believe it anyway. I need to physically see a leader get in these players.
Like grab someone's face mask, pull them in, have a discussion.
Yeah.
Like, let me see some fucking fire. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is R-rated now. I apologize. This is supposed to be a family-friendly show. That slipped.
We have to tear the whole video down.
Oh my
now.
goodness.
Might as well restart.
Guys. Earmuffs.
earmuffs.
I am
But
so
listen,
sorry.
Steve, to that point, like I was actually just thinking about that. I like when that happened at the Jaguars game, we were all like, "Man, that's great. Tua's finally taking control," right? Like, but now that I'm thinking about it a little later in the season, it's like, why weren't you doing that earlier? Isn't this like your 4th year? This is the first time you've gotten in your receiver's face? Like, what is happening? That is
I don't know that. So to that point, I don't know that Tua felt right doing that until he got the bag. I don't know that he felt right being that guy until he got.
but then he's not a leader. He's
Right.
he's a gold digger for a football team. I
Well,
mean, like
I think he's more of a, and I understand where Steve's coming from. I understand where all you guys are coming from, but I don't know that Tua is the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type of get in your face, and he's
then don't
more of
pay
a
him.
he's more of a speak softly and carry a big stick kind of leader.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm with you 100%. But at a certain point, gloves need to come off, right? You can't I mean, even no. I am a very level-headed, even-keeled kind of guy, but like when I'm watching these games, I'm like trying to hype up the damn players, and they can't even hear me. You know what I mean? Like at a certain
I don't
point,
want to see smiling at 31-12. That's
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't see that one coming, Steve. So that was a good one. I like
loved when Steve told me about that. I was so hyped.
Well, at first, my jock strap was somebody totally different, and we started chopping it up last night. And I was like, you know what? If you don't mind me segueing this, I think I'm going to change my jock strap. And
that.
the little workshop we had last night was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Nice. That must have happened after I left.
Right after you
I
left.
didn't hear
Yeah,
any
like
talk
right
yet.
right after you dipped out. Yeah,
Okay.
it was like I think Steve and I stayed on for another 30, 35 minutes or so, just chopping it
Yeah.
up about jock straps and game balls.
All right. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Josh, you're last to go here. Give me a jock strap, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. This one was tough, man, because I have two that are like right next to each other, right? And so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to tell me: do I go coach or do I go running back? You guys tell me, and then I'm
Oh,
running
wow.
with it.
I thought you were going to go linebacker.
Coach or
We've
running
done
back?
coach. I mean, I personally have done coach 2 episodes in a row. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
who's the
would go
running back?
running back.
All right, running back.
I know.
So my jock strap is it goes to A-Chain. Right.
Ooh.
Now this is again under the fine lens of this is about this specific game. This is not an indictment on him for the whole season. I think he's been one of our single best players for the season. If we can pick a best player given the product that is out on the field. But for this game specifically, 10 attempts, 15 rushing yards, 12 negative runs, and average 1.5 yards per carry. Like, get out of here. Like, sorry, dude. Like, go sit on the bench. Go figure yourself out and come back in. Yeah, exactly. But for a running back of his talent, and I think that's where my frustrations came, is I know how talented he is. Last year, 103 carries, 800 yards, 7.8 average per carry, 9 touchdowns. This year, 53 carries. And this is so far 53 carries, 165 total yards. He's averaging 3.1 yards per carry. Last year, it was 7.8. This year is 3.1. And he only has a single tud. Bro, you gotta do something, right? I know he's been more involved in the receiving game, and I forgot to grab those stats on my OneNote sheet for the show, but it doesn't matter. You're right, running back, run the darn ball, right? And you can't, in your right mind, hold your head high, if you will, on 10 attempts, 15 yards total for 1.5 yards per carry. Like, get out of here.
Wasn't that a weird simplification of the offense that he only gave 4 targets to the running backs? I feel like you would want to target them more in the instance of having
You would think so. And all of them were behind the line of scrimmage. Shocker.
Yeah, I like the pick, Josh. I think Achane could have played better. But I will say this. If the defense knows that you're unwilling to throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field, they're gonna do like you do for the fat kid in little league. Bring it in, guys. Bring it in. We're gonna hug the line, and because if they're not gonna throw it over the top, and they tried a couple of times, missed Tyreek Hill, but you know what? Bring it in. We're gonna crowd the box. We're going to make sure Devon Achane in particular doesn't beat us.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I was
mean,
just saying.
Absolutely, Snickle Fritz, right? I mean, you can't. I mean, look, and I know I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, but yes, obviously, it's hard for a running back of his focal point to be successful with no quarterback, with a bad offensive line and bad play calling. But at a certain point, players got to play. At a certain point, talent. You are one of the most talented running backs in the NFL, in my humble opinion, for whatever that's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our listeners might disagree. That's totally fine. But you factor in his combination of running outside, inside the tackle running, his vision, his ability to receive out the backfield, and his sheer speed. I think he's what, 4.4, 4.3, something like that speed. Dude, it doesn't matter, right? The defense is focused on some of the defense is geared around stopping Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. At the very least, that is putting light boxes in, or at least removing one of the heavier players in the box for you to be successful at a running back. But I'm not even asking you to try to reproduce the Denver game every week from last year, right? Where he had like 280 something yards, 15 touchdowns, or whatever the hell it was. But 10 attempts for 15 yards and 12 negative runs, bro, you got to do better than that. Break your first tackle. Don't go down right when somebody breathes in your direction. It's just unacceptable, in my opinion.
To
right.
Keith, to your point too, it just one last thing I know we want to move on to, the next segment is once we did throw the ball deep, suddenly rushing lanes opened up. What a shock. Well, I mean, I think it was like shortly after Huntley missed Tyreek deep, Jalen rips off a 20-yard run. It's like, man, that's some magic in basic football. How about that?
and I'm hoping we're going to see more downfield passing in this game, because that's just going to open it up. And if we can have a little bit of success throwing the ball downfield, just hit Tyreek or Jalen Waddle on a 15-yard crosser or an out or a post, or maybe hit Tyreek for a long touchdown. You hit Tyreek for a long touchdown, the running game is going to open up for the rest.
The whole dynamic changes.
Look what the Titans were doing with, and I got to give it to Mason Rudolph. He ran this perfectly. They were just playing levels. That's all they were doing. Run two guys on the same route. One's 5 yards, one's 10 yards. See which one they cover and throw it to the other one. Like this, like the overcomplication of the whole thing is. Oh my God, we're not going to get into it again because we just did. But come on, Mike.
And that's why there was a coach on my jock straps as well for that very same reason. But yes, we've beat that horse with the stick.
All right, we are going to move on. Love the Game Balls and Jock Straps, guys. I know it's all of our favorite. Favorite.
Single-handedly the best segment in sports media history. I'm just calling it right now.
Absolutely.
I'm not biased by any stretch.
We should start promoting it like that. All right, so we're going to move on to guys, we're going to move on to the next segment. First quarter's in the books. We've been talking it over, the four of us, going through. We wish we were 2-2. We thought we'd be 2-2 after tonight. We thought we'd be 2-2 after Monday night, I should say. But we went through and we decided to choose an offensive and a defensive MVP. We did it collectively. And so we went through all the guys, and there are guys in spite of our 1-3 start who have had very nice seasons for us. And we've mentioned them a few times. Our jock strap for Josh's jock strap is actually our offensive MVP. How about them apples? Devon Achane is our offensive MVP this season. He's been explosive. He's been kind of the only guy on offense that you can rely on week after week to be out there, be running hard. He's been fast. He's been decisive. He's been a safety blanket for our backup quarterbacks. He's been good for Tua when he was in there. Yeah. In spite of having a rough game against the Titans. And again, I don't put that all on him. I don't put that on him. I put that on, well, like we talked about, a number of factors. But I think Devon Achane has been everything that's been advertised going into this season, and we were hoping he was going to kind of take the mantle from Raheem Mostert. We didn't think it was going to be like this, where Raheem Mostert gets injured in week one, in the first quarter of week one, and Devon Achane kind of just takes the mantle from there. But take the mantle he has, and he deserves his desserts for that. He deserves to get his accolades. So for us, Devon Achane is our first quarter offensive MVP.
Let's go.
Now, defensive MVP was a little harder to choose, I think, because the defense has been a solid unit. An argument could have been made for Javon Holland, who saved our week one game against the Jaguars. An argument could have been made for Jalen Ramsey, who's been quietly having another very solid Pro Bowl caliber season at cornerback for us. An argument could have been made for Jordan Brooks, who's been all over the field, and he got Anthony's game ball for this week against the Titans, deservedly so. If somebody didn't choose Jordan Brooks, I would have had to because over the field, he's a one-man wrecking crew. So, Jordan Brooks could have gotten our defensive MVP. But you know what? We went with the elder statesman of the group. We went with Calais Campbell, who we mentioned earlier on in the show. I believe he got a game ball from somebody, from you, Josh, right? Yeah. Got a game ball from Josh. Not his first game ball this season either. And he deserves all the game balls. He deserves the defensive MVP award for the Miami Dolphins because he's 37 years old and he's still got it. He's still rock solid out there. He's still a leader, and he's a leader on this team in spite of the fact that he's been with us for an hour and a half. When Tyreek Hill was unfortunately arrested right before week one's game against the Jaguars, Calais Campbell stopped, got out of the car, and got arrested himself in solidarity with Tyreek Hill. Calais Campbell has been. I was psyched when they signed him. I was psyched because I knew he still had juice. You saw him play with Atlanta last year. You knew he still had juice. I didn't realize he had this much juice. I didn't realize he was 37 going on 27.
So
I had no idea.
Christian Wilkins, who?
He blocked a punt. He blocked a punt, man.
I know.
37.
Fully extended, by the way. Like, just fully extended. I mean, like Christian Wilkins, who? Right?
Up the middle, too.
Unbelievable. I don't think any of us could be any happier that he's a member of the Miami Dolphins. Finally came home after 16 years out in the desert or down in the bayou. He's finally home. And I finally forgive him for diving into Ryan Tannehill's knee all the way back when.
I don't.
What's that?
I'll never forgive him for that.
But he deserves our defensive MVP award, I think. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the year has for him. I'm looking forward to see what the rest of the year has in store for Devon Achane and Jordan Brooks and Jalen Ramsey and Tua. Tua's going to be back at some point. We just need to keep our heads above water. We need a W this week against the New England Patriots. So we're moving on to our next segment. On to Foxborough, baby. So let's talk about the New England Patriots. They are a team that is, they're struggling. They're a team that's struggling. But I think we saw that coming, didn't we? We kind of saw the Patriots struggling going into the season. We knew they had offensive line struggles. We knew that Jacoby Brissett was going to be back there and just kind of taking his lumps behind this offensive line. I don't think we expected Ramondre Stevenson's fumble issues, and I think he's probably going to be benched in this upcoming game.
Yeah,
Because
I
of
just
it.
saw that. I
Yeah.
just saw that report.
And I don't think we expected their defense to be as leaky as it has been either. Christian Gonzalez has kind of regressed from his. He looked like he was going to be defensive rookie of the year last year. Honestly,
He was so good last year.
he was, and he's regressed a little bit. I guess coming off an injury, that's to be expected. But we're going up to Foxborough, a place where we haven't had all that much success. Under Mike McDaniel, we have. Mike McDaniel has yet to lose to the New England Patriots. So, guys, give me your initial thoughts on this game. Steve, I'm going to start with you. I haven't heard from you in a while. Talk to me. Talk to me about this New England Patriots matchup.
I don't really see it any different than the matchup we just had with the Titans. I see it being primarily a big defensive game. I mean, the Patriots have 17 sacks as a team already, and that's going to be a problem. I think we're going to have to try to figure out how to get Tyler Huntley out in space. I think we're going to have to work a play action and little dink dunk passes. Throw one deep to open up the running lanes like Anthony had alluded to about 10 minutes ago. But I think it's just going to be a boring offensive game. I like defensive, hard-nosed games for sure, but when the offense isn't providing anything to make the defense look like it's having to work hard, it gets hard to watch. When a defense looks like they actually have to adjust and make schemes, and oh man, there was a big play within the red zone that turned the ball. Like, we're not getting that. We're getting 4th and 4s at the 48, we're just outside of field goal range. Are we going to punt it, or are we going to go 1 and 3 on 4th down? I'm not
That's
so happy.
1-3.
That's what we were. We were 1 and 3 last week.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm using it, just because I think it's going to be a mirror image of last week. Hopefully not the score. Hopefully we can clean some things up. I'm not going to give my score prediction now, obviously, but I do think this game's going to have a lot of field goals in it rather than touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of say it the same way, Steve. I think we're all kind of on the same page there. But Anthony, tell me, what are your thoughts on this game? Your initial thoughts.
Yeah, Steve kind of stole exactly what I was thinking. I just not a game I want to watch. It's not a game that many people probably want to watch.
No, I mean, just like the Titans game, though, right? We watch the Titans game because we're Dolphins fans, but meanwhile, we got the Lions and Seahawks on. We got the Lions and Seahawks on the other channel, and it's like that game was
that was a fun game to watch.
I'm proud to say the only amount of that game that I watched was when they would put us side by side on ESPN. But otherwise, I was glued to Dolphins Titans for some reason because
so was I.
A glutton for punishment. Yes,
I'm dumb. I don't know. I think initial thoughts are like it's another winnable game. If the offense can do anything, just one touchdown is all you need, guys. Let's get out there because Brissett looks awful. And Stevenson can't hold on to the ball. Their defense doesn't look as good as it once did. Like, this is a team competing for the top pick in the draft, along with us right now. So let's give it to them. They can have it. I'm okay with that. And just score one touchdown. I bet you it's enough.
Do we have the money for the first pick? Like, are we going to have the cap space if we get the first pick? I'm sure we do.
If we get the first pick, I think the Dolphins take the out on Tua's contract that they have built in, and we have plenty of money after that.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett looks like to me. He looks like Rocky in the 15th round. Just stumbling around out there.
It's crazy that they don't put one of the rookies in. Like, Joe Milton at least brings excitement if you don't want to get Drake May destroyed.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate that because I have Joe Milton in my dynasty league.
It's all about fantasy football for Josh.
I mean, right now it is because real football sucks.
Yeah, true.
That's true.
I mean, I will be honest though. I'm sucking in fantasy as well because I got the first overall pick and had Christian McCaffrey. So, anyways,
sounds like a good pick.
Brutal. He might come back at some point. after getting both of his Achilles worked on by the Germans, the specialists in Stuttgart, Germany.
Keith coming in with the facts over here.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so Josh, give me your initial thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not to sound like a broken record, but I think, Anthony, Steve, and yourself kind of hit the nail right on the head, right? I mean, this isn't going to be a fun game. I think Anthony, I think you and I were talking about this during the Titans game when we were chatting back and forth. First team to score a touchdown wins this game, right? It's going to be a field goal, nasty, ugly, not a fun offensive showing for either team, because that's where these teams are right now, unfortunately. On the flip side, the reason why I think, and I won't say my score, but I might spoil who I think is going to win this game. The reason I think Miami has a better chance than not is because I think our defense right now is playing better. It's that simple, right? So I think if we can somehow, maybe Achane, prove me wrong, right? If Achane can get a touchdown, for example, or if Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill connect on a long ball or make a couple broken tackles to something to galvanize this offense to produce a touchdown, I think then we buckle down on defense and we run the ball right down their throats. And we could win this game. I mean, it's a winnable game. It's just not an exciting.
I think they have a secret weapon though.
Who's that?
Because they got this guy named Zach Thomas on the team. It's the same spelling and everything. I think they picked him up just as a
same number.
It's the Miami Dolphins. No, he's an offensive lineman. He's a backup offensive lineman. But man, I just looking at their roster like Zach Thomas is playing for the Patriots. This guy.
All right, so we normally do matchups. What kind of matchups you're looking forward to in this game. So Anthony, give me a matchup that you're looking towards. Dolphins exploiting or the Patriots exploiting. Like, give me a key matchup in this one.
I'm going back to my boy Tyler Huntley. It is time to get up and brush yourself off, and let's have a better game today, okay? Let's guys who need to go in motion. I'm sure they were gonna just like absolutely destroy him this week in practice, being like, dude, they need to set. Okay, so that won't be an issue. The offensive line's gonna stink. Be prepared. Even though the Patriots defensive line isn't anything supremely special since they got rid of Judon. If they still had Judon, I'd be terrified. But
yeah.
They're still NFL talent. They got a guy by the name of Keon White. He's got 4 sacks already. That's a sack a game for those who aren't very good at math. So I think that Tyler Huntley, it's his chance to have a comeback here. This is a beatable defense. There you go. Get the TI calculator out. But listen, I'm looking at Tyler Huntley. You had 40 yards rushing last week. Let's make it 50 this week, and let's get over the 100-yard passing mark. It's a defense you can do this against. Hopefully, you'll have the offense, better control of the offense, hit some of those open guys. I think, as everybody has said who is in favor of Huntley, Josh especially up there, he's got a Huntley jersey on, I'm pretty sure. A week and a half is nothing. Let's see how he does in game 2 against another beatable team. And that's the matchup that I think, listen, I took the low-hanging fruit. Everybody's watching Tyler Huntley, right? Everybody's watching the quarterback position on the Miami Dolphins. So this isn't a surprise to anybody. But I am very hopeful that he has a bounce-back game. Maybe a 100-yard rushing game. I don't care, bro. Pull it down every play. As long as you're getting a first down, that's all I care about.
And not to mention another rookie head coach.
Another rookie head coach. There we go.
Which we haven't fared that well against, as we've already stated.
Fared against anything. Ugh.
Yeah,
Mike is fearful of the rookie head coach.
I guess.
So the matchup I'm looking forward to in this game, honestly, and I, of course Tyler Huntley is the guy I'm looking towards. The matchup I'm looking for in this game is the Dolphins' defensive line against the Patriots' offensive line. Going into the season, the Patriots' offensive line was kind of their Achilles heel, their weakness going in, and it's at least half the reason why Drake May isn't out there already. You don't want to send him out there behind an offensive line that's just going to get him murdered, a la what the Carolina Panthers did with Bryce Young. And now Bryce Young's benched, and you see what an actual veteran like Andy Dalton can do with, a subpar offensive line. They're kind of hoping the same thing with Jacoby Brissett. I think that's a smart move. I think it's a smart move to put Jacoby Brissett out there, but I still want the Dolphins defensive line without Jalen Phillips, who's going for the season with a knee injury.
Done for the year. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
How did it take us 1
He
hour and
lost.
10 minutes to mention that?
I know.
Yeah,
I was about to
true.
type it in the chat. Yeah.
It's true. But without Jalen Phillips, huge loss, devastating loss. I'm devastated for him more than anything, though, honestly, guys. He worked so hard to come back from that Achilles injury last year, and we were so pumped to see him back for game 1, which I don't think any of us expected. I think we expected him to go on the PUP list going into the season, and we would see him in like week 6, or week 5. Devastated for him, devastated for the Dolphins defensive line, but the show must go on, and we still have talented players on the defensive line, and we need to exploit this Patriots offensive line, get to Jacoby Brissett 3 or 4 times at least. We need to get in his face, make him really uncomfortable. And I mentioned he looks like Rocky out there. Let's make him look like Rocky in Rocky 4 after the Mad Russian beat him up. Ivan Drago.
Hey, most Patriots fans say they want to keep Brissett out there because they don't want May to get crushed. I think that's exactly. You're right. It's exactly the Patriots' plan.
Yeah. So, all right, Josh, give me your key matchup that you're looking at in this game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, kind of low hanging fruit here, right? But Dolphins receivers versus Patriots secondary, right? I think. Oh, is that yours, Steve? I'm sorry. Man.
Nope.
Okay.
I got
right.
yeah.
I think talent needs to be talent, right? And I think at a certain point, enough's enough. Not to I don't know if what the terminology is I'm looking for, but play backyard football, man. I mean, make the play, break the ankle, embarrass the player, right? We have 2 insanely talented wide receivers, and OBJ might be coming back. I know, don't roll your eyes too hard, but he's a better third option than anything that we've trotted out on that field since week 1.
I'm actually excited about it.
So I think, I think our talent needs to talent, for lack of a better term, right? And enough with the excuses, enough with the with the froofy plays and the 17 steps, and Tyreek Hill trying to jump backwards instead of falling forwards for a first down. He jumps backwards and loses 3 yards because he's trying to do too much. Just do your 111th, players play, make the play, fall down, get back up, start over, because that is how we turn the season around.
Yeah.
Tyreek don't take hits, bro. He does not get hit. You ever anybody who watches Dolphins football, or if you're planning on watching a Dolphins game this year, just watch Tyreek Hill. This dude avoids contact like it's the plague.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a business decision. I get it.
I do too. Yeah.
If you're a guy his size, why would you lean into contact?
But when you're a guy his size and you're making $70-something million or whatever, $100 million a season or whatever the hell he's making, and it's third and 9, and you catch the ball on 10 yards on a 10-yard route and then fall backwards 3 yards, bro, fall forwards. That's all I'm asking. It's not hard.
Fair. But this is the receiving core is a strength of the Dolphins. It's a huge strength, and the Dolphins need to use it, exploit the Patriots secondary that isn't that great, and use their receivers. And they need to do such a better job of this because it's getting to be ridiculous. So I agree with what you're saying here, there, Josh.
I mean, I'm not going to unfortunately be able to watch the game because my wife and I are going to New Hampshire for a couples retreat, if you will, just the 2 of us. But maybe that's why we win. Maybe that's how we win, because I don't watch it.
Well, if that's the case, then you're moving to New Hampshire, brother. All right, so Steve, give me a matchup, man.
Yeah, I actually got through this unscathed. I thought somebody was going to take this after everybody kept saying low-hanging fruit, but I think I have the lowest of the hangings of the fruits. Gerard, Mayo, Mike McDaniel.
Oh, that was my other one. And it was a
Yeah.
coin toss right before I spoke up.
And honestly, I asked the question last week, will we gain a lead? And we all said, yeah, obviously, stupid question. Well, we didn't gain the lead, and I've been wrong in everything. I'm terrible in fantasy this year. No jersey has worked on game day. No sweatshirt has worked on game day. Nothing has worked. So what I'm going to do here is say we won't have the lead at all this game. And hopefully I'm wrong again. But that's the matchup I'm looking for is Mike McDaniel versus Gerard Mayo. And I want to see if Mike McDaniel can get his head out of his butt and call a good game for once so we can actually gain a lead in a game, maybe hold a lead, but I don't see it happening. I'm only saying that because I want to be wrong. I've been wrong on everything else all season long.
Yeah, fair enough. I took off my jersey midway through week 1 against the Jaguars at halftime, and they came back and won. And so that jersey's been in my closet ever since. Maybe it might be time to dust it off and break it back out because.
All right, so moral of the story, you just got to strip and we win. That's all you got to do.
There it is.
I wasn't shirtless for the rest of the game. I put on a different shirt.
Don't tease us, Keith.
Yeah, it's disappointing, man. Disappointing.
But I did have a quick follow up because I think something I'm really also ironically surprised none of us mentioned is the fact that this is a division rival, right? Now I know it hasn't been a rivalry as of late, but no matter how bad one team is and how good the other team is, or how bad both teams are, or how good both teams are, interdivision rivalry matchups tend to be played very close. They are scrappy. There's energy, high energy. The atmosphere is bananas, and both teams are motivated to embarrass the other. So I think it's going to be a lot closer. Hopefully it's not, but I could see a scenario in which the Patriots show up for this, for lack of a better term.
Oh, I think they're definitely going to show up. I think it's going to be, well, look, let's get into it. What are our score predictions for this game?
Love it.
I like nice transition.
Steve, I'll start with you, man, because you have some ideas on this one. What are your score predictions?
Altogether, I think there's going to be 7 total field goals. I think at least 4 of them are going to come from the Dolphins side of the football. And I'm going to say we win 18-16.
Jesus. If that's the kind of game it is, I'm glad I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
That would drive me bananas.
It's going to be all field goals.
You're lucky you're going to be in New Hampshire for this one, Josh. All right, so Josh, tell me what's your score prediction?
Yeah, 21-17. We get a touchdown and then just a buttload. I think they get a touchdown, we get a touchdown, and then we out field goal them, if you will.
My math was obviously wrong. 17.
You need this
Anthony,
you need the TI-83 that I have right in front of me, buddy.
Yeah.
Anthony, give me your score prediction, man.
I said 2 weeks ago I was never going to pick this Miami Dolphins team to lose because I'm just too big of a fan. What a difference 2 weeks makes. Holy cow. I am taking the L. This offense has showed me absolutely nothing to make me think that we could score enough points to win the game. I got the Patriots winning it 20-9.
Ugh.
Wow.
Not field goals. I see it too.
I got to be honest with you, Anthony. I hate it, but I could see it.
Yeah, I can certainly see it. I'm going to choose to remain optimistic on this one. If they let me down here, my optimism might just melt away until it comes back. But I'm going to choose to remain optimistic. I'm going to say the Dolphins are going to win this game 20-13. I do see a lot of field goals. I see it being a slog of a game. It's going to be a muddy, bloody 1960s Tom Landry versus Vince Lombardi type of game.
God,
but I think
teams are not that good. Don't put those words out there. At least those teams were good, man. Don't say that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so I think ultimately the Dolphins come out on top here. I think Mike McDaniel stays undefeated against the Patriots.
Am I the first one to predict a loss this season?
You might be.
No, I did. I did
No,
last
Okay.
Steve
week.
did.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say I would have
Yeah.
bet money it would have been Steve, but
I
I would've
forgot
bet
to
money it would
mention.
be me.
I forgot to mention in my prediction something very specific that I had written down, and I apologize for jumping backwards real quick. But my
Yeah.
touchdown does not come from the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. I
My
like it.
touchdown comes from a defensive pick six.
well, that's the only way
Defensive
we're
pick
scoring
six.
a touchdown. so.
Who?
Hey, you were
who
right
gets
with
it?
your.
Huh? Sorry. What?
Keith was saying, who gets it?
Oh, who gets
Yeah,
the
who
pick
gets
six? Sorry.
Yeah.
Storm Duck. No, I'm kidding. It's for me. It's got to be Ramsey, right? I think.
Okay.
I think Jacoby Brissett is notorious for force feeding what he perceives as his number one receiver, which Ramsey will be on most of the time, and I'm blanking on the name. I think it's just he baits him into it, picks it, runs it back.
Demario
Game.
Douglas, is it?
Maybe, yeah, that sounds right.
By the
Paul?
way, they do not. They have 100-yard receiver so far this year, and it's Hunter Henry, the tight end.
Yeah.
Gosh, if you get this right, you
And-
got to make a call every week because you got the safety correct
did.
on a
I did.
stupid play. You
Yeah.
even said on a stupid play, and that's exactly how it happened. So if you get this right, you have to do it every week.
Done.
Yeah, so Antonio Gibson's going to be starting a running back for the Patriots over Ramondre Stevenson. I'm hoping that Ramondre gets enough carries that we can exploit the fact that he's been a fumble machine lately.
Oh, it's been embarrassing.
And maybe get a touchdown that way. I don't know that we're going to get an offensive touchdown in this game, but I think we can. I think we can do this. I think one offensive touchdown, one defensive touchdown, enough yards and time spent on offense for the Dolphins in this game to spell the defense just enough so that maybe we can come out victorious on this one. Look, guys, it's been, we're getting up to an hour and a half here. It's been an awesome show. It's hard to remain happy and optimistic. We came into this season with such optimism, such high hopes, and they've been dashed. Starting with a disappointing game against the Jaguars where they got a win, and then a very disappointing game against the Buffalo Bills that it took a while for all of us to recover from that one. Like we didn't even text each other for a few days after that game.
No, it's crazy.
and we spend all day, every day texting each other in some way, shape, or form. After that game, we all just kind of hunkered down and just just cocooned ourselves into I don't know. I know I did. I cocooned myself into a blanket and just
hot tea and honey. I felt like I was sick. It was
exactly. I thought I had the flu, the football flu. And then you go and you play the Seahawks the way you played them. Seahawks are a good football team, and they beat us fair and square. And they would have given us a tough time even with Tua under center. And then this Titans game, disappointing, but not all that surprising after seeing what we saw from the Seahawks. I think we're actually in a better place after this Titans game than we were after the Seahawks game. The point I'm trying to make here is Tua is going to be back eventually. Adam Schefter's been reporting it. It's been kind of trickling out of the Dolphins camp for a while now. Tua is going to be back eventually. We need to keep our heads above water. So keep our heads above water until Tua comes back, and then maybe we can make a run at this thing. Maybe our optimism wasn't unfounded. So, look, style points don't matter in this game. Get the W, get into the bye week, feeling decent about yourselves, and on to Indianapolis. That's what's on my mind right now. But look, guys, do you have any final thoughts on this one? Steve, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off tonight?
Really just go Phins. Hope we play with some aggression. I wrote some words down actually. I have 2 words I want to say. I want to see ambition, and I want to see something that looks like I wrote the word culture down because in the beginning of the game, the whole team looked like they had a culture about themselves, about the team. It seemed like that there was a whole lot going on, and after Tua went down, it seemed like that went out the door. I want to see I want to see some sort of brotherhood, and I want to see ambition. So that's really my final thought on this game.
All right. Anthony, you have any final thoughts for me?
Yeah, I do. I know I'm usually the unicorn of positivity over here, and I will be here as well. Football is fun, guys, and the Dolphins
Yeah.
stink right now. It's true, but like listening to other shows today, and like listening to the guys on like even the Rich Eisen show get excited. Like there's a Jets fan, a Cowboys fan, and a Patriots fan on that show. None of those teams are doing very well, yet they still get so excited, right? Like Devontae Adams is potentially going to be traded. That's really exciting, right? Like the NFL just always
as long
has
as it isn't the Jets,
storylines.
yeah.
Oh, you
Well,
know he's
that's
going
true.
there.
That's true. But I guess my point is the NFL always has exciting storylines to kind of just grab onto and get excited. If you love football and you're a Dolphins fan, don't tune away just because the Dolphins stink right now. There's always something to attach yourself to. So enjoy the game. Don't get so frustrated that you can't enjoy football. It's not a fun way to go about the season.
You know what? I agree. And that's very important to keep in perspective here, Anthony. Football's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have fun watching our team. Not so much fun this year, but fun watching our fantasy team, fun watching football. I had a hell of a time watching the Lions and Seahawks game after the Dolphins game was over on Monday.
Yeah.
I had a hell of a time watching the Bills get their brains beat in by the Ravens.
That was cool.
on Sunday Night Football. You know, football is supposed to be fun, and I agree with you, Anthony. We need to keep that in perspective.
It's really a lot easier if you have somebody to vent to too. So like I vent to these guys, they vent to like we all vent.
Yeah.
So come here every Wednesday
Yes.
and vent. Every Sunday that we play,
Yes.
we'll have a reaction. Come vent, right? It's way better. Yeah, get it out of your system.
Comments
Fill
were
up our
quiet
chat.
You know, and not for nothing, if you're into, retail therapy, right? We got a shop too. Go nuts.
We do.
Bingo.
Yeah, so we are going to do a post-game show this week. Not sure. I know you're not going to be able to make it, Josh, but
Nope, I'll not be here.
we are going to do a post-game show in some capacity this
I'll be
week,
watching though.
this Sunday, after the Dolphins Patriots game. Hopefully, it'll be a fun show and a show where we're smiling after a Dolphins victory. But yeah, we're gonna do that probably around 7, I would say, right before, or 7:30 before Sunday Night Football.
Cool.
So Josh, give me your final thoughts here, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're coming at the 1 hour, one and a half hour mark, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Just know, I mean, I think Anthony, Steve, everyone on this hit the nail right on the head. But it's never as good as it seems, but it's also never as bad as it seems, right? So there's always things in a game, no matter how bad the game looks, whether it be offensively or defensively, that you can focus on that are good, right? Cool stories like Storm Duck or Javon Holland making that final play in the Jazz game. I mean, or Calais Campbell blocking the punt at full extension at 67 years old. I mean, there's just, Jake Bailey being the proverbial MVP of the entire season so far and just completely turning things around. There's just there's so much to watch in a single NFL game. And, I count myself lucky to not only be on this podcast with you fellas, but to also just be a genuine, not only a football fan, but a fan of this Dolphins team.
Well said. I love it, Josh. All right. So look, guys, if you like what you saw tonight, subscribe, set a reminder for yourselves. We are here every Wednesday night at 7:00. We are doing post-game shows when they have a Sunday afternoon game, before Sunday Night Football and between the 4:00 games ending and Sunday Night Football starting. And look, guys, we have Facebook links, we have Instagram links, we have a shop where you can I should have worn my sweatshirt tonight, my new sweatshirt that Josh got me. But yep, we have a shop with sweatshirts and t-shirts. My wife has a t-shirt. We have stickers. We have a magnet. I have a magnet on my car right now. So all that stuff, guys. We have, there it is. Lots of fun things going on. lots of fun shows coming up. So like, subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Next Wednesday, 7:00. Phins Forecast.
Let's go. Fins up, baby.
Have a nice night, guys.
Take care.